after somebody. It's more just like dumb comments from
Right.
overreacting fans, which counts. But well, it sounds like Lana's gonna vacuum. Of course. No, she's going upstairs. Good.
I thought your text last night was kind of funny about kids talking about podcasting because like Andy, didn't you say, or didn't you or Beth say that Mac pretends to podcast sometimes?
Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah. He said he. Yeah, there was a time a couple days ago where he was saying he was doing a podcast with Corey.
well,
And then
Liam was actually taking a bath last night and I don't know. He gets days mixed up, and he's like, "Daddy, are you going to do a podcast with Corey and your other friend?" It was so like the way he said it was so funny too. And your other friend.
Do you guys ever have it happen where you're clear? Like right now, I'm talking to you guys. We're on the internet and everything, but then like a ton of web pages won't load.
yes, yeah.
What the heck is that?
Everything
I
was
don't have
going
that.
well, and I think it may be slowed down by
By eating
doing
up
the hangout,
bandwidth.
but
Why is the internet
Yeah.
stupid?
Yeah, there's all kinds of
Well-
studies that show how far behind the U.S. is on internet speed for other developed countries.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like
man.
our broadband speeds are ridiculous. Like South Korea, I think the average is like 100 megabits a second.
well,
that's
yeah,
just
well,
normal.
I think their like cell phone
Yeah.
like service is faster than our high speed.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Mine's been pretty. I'm knock on wood. Mine's been pretty good lately, and ever since I got that new router, I've been.
Are
super
you in
happy.
HD right now?
Me, that's. I am one level below. I'm on medium. That's HD.
Yeah, that-
Now I'm on HD. Actually, the HD
Oh,
is
yeah.
worse because the lighting is
I know.
goofy.
Yeah, I always do the one level below it.
Yeah.
Well,
So
this is garbage,
the-
man. I'm trying to get stuff done, and like stuff doesn't load.
yeah, I was running into that right as I was starting everything. I thought I was going to have to restart my computer because everything was just freezing up, but then I ran a speed test and it was pretty good. I'm getting like around 12 or 13 down.
I'm gonna turn into like a technology and internet conspiracy theorist before too long.
Well, pretty soon it's all going to change with the new FCC rules. So
Yeah,
I don't
actually,
think it'll change your speed, but it will change your conspiracy theories.
one of the keynotes at NAB is going to be about all this stuff. So I'm actually going to go. Like, it's kind
Could
of
be
cool
awesome,
because
or it could be horrible.
as
That's the
a
problem.
as a speaker, I have access to all of the NAB sessions, and I was like, oh well. I mean, it's just all like for broadcasters and like big time broadcasters and stuff. And then I was looking at the sessions, and I was like, holy cow, these are so good. Like, I'm not going to go to any of the NMX ones. I'm just going to be over at NAB.
So the FCC won't let me be, so let me see. I remember that. It feels so empty without me. Try to shut me down on MTV.
It's too bad we weren't recording. That way we could work Eminem into our...
That's like the Ice Ice Baby of that generation.
I still like it, though.
Everybody knows the lyrics. Yeah.
Well, that song has that da 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 da. Yeah. Remember the video actually had him like dancing in a turban and stuff?
I don't.
Not yet.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, but it's not in the room.
Where's your baby?
Beth wants to know where your baby is.
My baby?
Yeah.
He's upstairs with his mother.
He said he's upstairs with his mother.
He's also sick. He's been sick for a week. He's been in daycare for, I think, less than 20 days, and he's missed 7.
Oh, man.
Oh, God.
The world is a nasty place for a baby. Like, he just has been sick.
Don't tell that
all
to
the
don't tell
time.
that to Michael and Delana.
Yeah.
Who took their kid to the nastiest place?
The world
Which
is
is
a
what?
nasty
Duffy's?
No, Wrigley.
Oh. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, it's been rough. A rough week.
Um,
Shitload, man.
I'm doing an interview with the guy from Myrtle Beach right after this.
What's
Oh,
his
yeah,
name? I get an
Nathan?
email from him like twice a day. So
That guy emails a ton.
Nathan
Yeah.
Barnett.
See, the thing
Yeah.
is like I actually do like getting them. So Nathan,
He
if
does
you
a good
I know.
job.
But
He does
did
a
you-
really good job.
I loved that email he sent about storylines.
right, it's smart.
I thought that was such a good idea.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I think the difference between him and everybody else is like he's willing to put in all that effort. That's a lot of work, and he's willing to like put in all that work and then send it out hoping it lands something. And I don't think most minor league people do that.
Yeah, although I've noticed this year that hold on just a second, I'm sorry. Just this year that the minor league teams are doing really, really good things with like their social media and stuff. I don't know if you follow South Bend Cubs on Instagram or Twitter.
I do all on Twitter.
Yeah, look at the South Bend Cubs. They put up infographics throughout the game. And it's like all like key stats in like infographic form. And I was like, that is so brilliant. I mean, it's just because you can just look at it real quick. You can see how many strikeouts, how many walks.
Yeah.
Check it out. It's really neat.
Infographics make me cringe a little bit just because people at work, because I'm a designer, people are always asking for infographics, and usually they just mean like a pie chart. Yeah, that's not really what this is. Just take this data and make it visual. And you're like, oh, shut up. Make it pretty, because that's what I do.
I make it pretty for people.
I'm ready. Just
Yeah, I'll be ready in a
that out
second.
there.
I just have to.
That's fine. I just wanted to make sure that you weren't waiting on me. Or did you do any scuba diving this morning, Corey?
Oh man,
Are they just torn up? Are they heartbroken?
I was telling Andy, it's rough. It's actually more rough on me and Tawny because we know we're gonna have to buy another one. And see, the kids believe that the first one was from Santa, so we can't really say anything about being frustrated about $350 being at the bottom of the lake. But so like they could tell we were pretty upset about it, and so then the girls made up a cheer and did like a cheerleading routine, and the cheer was it's just a trampoline.
Oh, that's amazing. See,
I know
it was all meant to be.
I know. We were like, you know what? Like kids are so amazing sometimes.
Yeah, because they'll piss you off for like a week straight, and then they'll do something like that, and you're like, oh man, you're awesome.
Well, I mean, even
Those-
that they're just handling it the way that they are. You know,
Right.
like if I was a kid, I would be flipping my shit. You know, like if that was me as a kid, I would have been so. I would have my dad swimming the lake trying to find it, and these kids are just like, it's okay, don't worry about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Good job, parent Corey and Tony.
yeah. Except for if we would have staked the freaking trampoline down, that would have been good parenting. Except I told
Although
Andy I
it
bought
might not have
steaks.
even worked.
Yeah, I
with
bought
that
steaks the day before, and I was like, oh, it won't be that windy. I'll do it on on Saturday. But you know what I'm
Fortunately,
gonna do?
they were T-bones. So
I'm gonna get those like dog spiral ones, you know,
Yeah.
like, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna get one that's like a foot long and just spiral it all the way into the ground. That should, if I do like 4 of those, it should hold it.
Oh yeah, it should work.
But all right, I think I'm ready if you guys are.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not. I don't have a ton on the regular stuff. So.
Right.
The questions I try to wing the questions as much as I can actually, so I'm not over prepared. But
Yeah, I have somewhat of an answer for about all of them. All right, here we go.
you can barely hear that, Corey.
This is Michael from Colorado, a proud Patreon supporter of IVNB Podcast, and you're listening to the best marginal analysis out there, IVNB.
Sorry, guys. I got to start over. There's something wrong with my volume on this end.
Yeah, last week or Wednesday's episode, I couldn't hear the music at all. But now I can hear it.
Can you hear it, Kurt?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Interesting. Okay.
I mean, the first time you played it, it was really quiet, and then it was better.
Yeah. There's still some. I think I figured it out, so I'm gonna start it over.
This is Michael from Colorado, a proud Patreon supporter of IVNB Podcast, and you're listening to the best marginal analysis out there, IVNB.
Hi, and thanks for downloading this episode of the IVMV Podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts. My name is Corey, and I am joined by the other two hosts of this podcast through a Google Plus Hangout.
Hi, it's Andy.
And Kurt, here live, not just in the chat.
Yeah, nice. Thanks for joining us, Kurt.
Yeah, you're welcome.
How did it sound from that end?
What?
I said, how did it sound from the other end? Your pause concerned me.
Oh, well, all I heard was end. But it sounded good live, and you're keeping me going. I was actually working because I got behind with a sick kid this week, so I was trying to catch up. So
What Kurt is,
excuse.
what we're talking about is the fact that Kurt will probably not be doing those midweek episodes, which was the last episode we did, but Kurt was still in the chat and listening live. So, did you find yourself wanting to jump in from time to time, correct us on certain things?
Well, yeah, I
correct
was just
us on
talking to the computer.
Yeah. Well, there is a big correction to make from that episode, but we'll get to that in a second. You'll probably notice that this episode is coming out early. We are recording this on Saturday morning, April 11th. That's because I leave for Las Vegas tonight for the Podcast Awards ceremony. Do you guys have anything you want me to tell the fellows from ESPN or Dan Patrick while I'm out there?
You think Dan will be there, and you just walk up and be like, "Hey, Dan, I'm gonna talk to you."
Last year the ESPN guys were right there, and I think I told the story last year where I walked up and I was just kind of standing near the ESPN guys, and Pod Vader, who is their producer of all their podcasts, walked over and he goes, "So you're the lowly Cubs podcast that's going to beat us, huh?" He had obviously seen a tweet that I had sent out maybe a week or two before that, and then
No
I
offense to
saw
Pod Vader, but
no, he's
Dan
since
Patrick
left.
was employed by NBC.
Right. Well, actually, Pod Vader has since left ESPN.
Okay.
He works for Blog Talk Radio now, but and then I challenged him to an arm wrestling match.
That's important.
Right. So once again, thanks to all of you that supported us in the nomination and finals voting. We're up against obviously some very large entities in sports broadcasting, and the fact that we are there, I think it speaks more to all of you than it does us. So this episode's early. Although I will be out of town, there will be a midweek episode. So look for that on late Wednesday night, early Thursday morning. I mentioned that I have a correction I would like to make about last week's or this last episode, the midweek episode. On that episode, I talked about how Carrie Muscat had tweeted that Addison Russell would be staying in Arizona. until the first Iowa home series at the end of the week. And she was talking about James Russell, not Addison Russell. So even though the James Russell signing was fresh in my mind, if I read Russell, I'm thinking Addison. I don't think I
That's
can be
excusable.
faulted for that. Yeah. I mean, I feel like, and actually if I would have noticed, she just sent a tweet like 30 seconds before talking about James Russell. So I don't necessarily blame Carrie either, but I think in the age of Twitter, what do you guys think? I don't think you can carry that. That's one thing I don't like about, kind of like a string of tweets in a row about a certain topic. I mean, I think sometimes it works, but something like that, if all I see is that one tweet, then I'm thinking Addison Russell,
Yeah, maybe there's you could go to a session at your NMX about Twitter best practices, and when sharing a last name, use first initial or something.
You think I've got to raise my hand. I've got an example. I'm sure you all know Addison Russell. This is something that happened to me this week where I felt like an idiot.
Well,
Well,
at
in
least you
these
thought of a-
conferences, there's always like a best practices session.
Oh yeah,
Always.
there's
Well,
more
at
than
least
one.
Those things.
At least you thought of a baseball player, because I thought of Russell Westbrook when I saw that. So I was way off. I mean, I was thinking about a different sport.
Well, at first I went to
You're like-
Russell Wilson, but then I thought, well, that doesn't make sense. Well, I mean, although he does have a baseball contract, it still didn't make sense. Yeah, but I was thinking about we rarely get things wrong on this podcast. So
The corrections department is usually just sitting down there in the basement playing darts and Guitar Hero and stuff. So I actually had something to do this week.
right, yeah, I felt pretty bad. I felt really stupid, but oh well. Isn't the first time, and it won't be the last. So I just wrapped up the first week of the Daily Northside Recap. If you have not subscribed to that podcast, check it out. It's a new podcast under the IVMV umbrella. The episodes are daily, Monday through Friday, and I basically recap the previous day's games in the Cubs organization. I still have not had a day when the Cubs and all of the affiliates have played. So I record these things after the games have wrapped up at night. So I am not looking forward to West Coast trips by the Cubs or the Iowa Cubs. Those are going to be some late nights. I was going to do it 7 days a week, and I'll just say right now, I'm so glad I decided to take the weekends off. After 1 week, I'm like, holy crap, this is rough.
Well, I mean, then if anything really exciting happens on the weekends, you can bring
Sure,
it into
yeah.
your Monday session.
I'm hoping it's easier for me as we get going. I mean, I've kind of developed a routine already. I think I can figure it out, but this week was particularly stressful. And I've got 2 presentations at that conference that I'm doing, and so trying to get ready for those and adding in our midweek episode and then doing those things once a night. I was like, and I podcast from my work, and so by the end of today, in the last week, I will have recorded 11 podcast episodes,
Wow.
which
Crazy.
I don't know.
Podcasting is life. The rest is just details. You need that shirt.
So anyway, you can find that at the Daily Northside or at dailynorthsiderecap.com, and the links to iTunes and Stitcher are there, or you can search for it in whatever podcast directory you use. And if you listen to podcasts through the TuneIn app, the Daily Northside Recap, as of this morning, is now there. They finally got around to approving it. So so you can find it almost anywhere. And if I know that there is, I can't remember, I can't remember who mentioned it to me. Chris, I think, from Des Moines. He mentioned that it's not in the Windows, whatever that's called, Windows Phone podcast.
Is that on the Zoom?
Nothing is in the windows.
I know, and I was like, I know that you used to have to like email someone and submit your show through email, but that person no longer works for Windows. It's like, I don't know. I guess if you listen to podcasts through Windows Player or whatever it's called, their podcast directory, let me know. And if there's enough people there, then I'll take the time to figure out how to do it. And actually, when I'm at this conference next week, I know that a few people will be there that will probably have answers for me, how to do it now, who to contact. But sorry, Chris, I guess you'll have to listen on Stitcher or something in the meantime.
Maybe there's a DOS script that we could come up with.
Right.
I miss DOS.
I used to have a Zune. I loved it until I got an iPod, and then I hated it. Then I was like, why was I carrying around a brick in my pocket? All right, so we're in kind of a unique situation with this episode because we really only have one game to talk about. The Cubs played in the afternoon on Wednesday, then they had an off day on Thursday. They played yesterday afternoon, Friday afternoon. So we only have one real game to talk about, but we have a lot of other topics we can hit on. But before we get into those topics and listener questions, guys, do you have just any thoughts on the first game of this Rockies series, or anything from the the Cardinals series that carries over, I guess, too?
Yeah, well, I mean, to the game on Friday, the Rockies game, I thought for sure, and I think JD mentioned this during the broadcast, that the bats would kind of come to life in this game, and it ultimately ended up being a really frustrating game to watch as the Cubs left 19 on base.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that did come. Like, I think maybe it was Len, but yeah, they mentioned how Colorado is your biggest BABIP park. Your balls in play are going to land somewhere. It's so big.
I was amazed how much they brought up BABIP.
It just didn't happen. Yeah, it was kind of interesting because he didn't say BABIP. He just said the whole thing.
Batting average on balls in play. It's
yeah,
just call it BABIP.
Yeah, let's call it BABIP. But
if he called it BABIP, there's going to be a bunch of older guys sitting there like, what the hell is BABIP?
This young feller.
Does that mean Cubs suck now? Because they do.
I'm going to turn into a White Sox fan so I can listen to Hawk and I don't have to hear this BABIP stuff.
You don't have to hear a whole lot if you listen to that.
I'll put these balls in play.
Give me my cans of corn any day over BABIP. So
they just didn't find the gaps like he kind of hoped they would and get things started. But as always, small sample size, only been 3 games. But and it was encouraging coming out of spring training. They had a few games where they didn't score a lot, but there was a lot of games where they were just racking up runs. And I know it's not the same environment, but you thought maybe that would translate into nicer offensive production this year. But to go from that to almost 0 is a little bit hard to watch.
And I think that's kind of like on that midweek at the last episode, I was kind of feeling like, okay, we're going to go to Denver. I mean, we have a lineup built on, we have a lot, there's some power on that team, and there's some people that can hit the ball and get on base. And so, I guess I was thinking like, oh, we're going to go to Colorado and kind of get this thing on track and, maybe pick up some steam.
Dexter Fowler is going to revisit his old ballpark and just be on fire.
Right.
And he went 0 for 5. But, I mean, I have a couple notes from the game. Are you going to say something else about Fowler or anything?
No. I mean, I was just going to say that, it was, I don't know. It's just, you have to chalk it up, even though it was Denver and it is, a place where the ball carries and stuff like that. It's still April. And these guys were playing. I mean, it was probably a little nicer in Denver. I think it was in the upper 50s or lower 60s, but it's still not the upper 80s, lower 90s that it was in Arizona. And so, I mean, I still think they're still warming up, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know. It was just frustrating. It would have been nice to see them kind of get off to a good start in that first game of the series.
Right.
And it is kind of a weird scheduling thing too to hop to Colorado for a series.
Talking about weird scheduling things,
and then come back to Wrigley, on Monday.
Right, and then I think next weekend, on the topic of weird scheduling, next weekend, the Padres come to town. Why in the hell would you schedule a Padres Cubs game in Chicago in mid-April? That makes no sense.
Well, and then the Cubs apparently asked to start the season on the road when they were making the schedules, and apparently whoever was in charge of that was like, nope.
Home opener.
We don't have
opening night.
bathrooms.
But you're right. I mean, so the upcoming series, they have the Reds coming to town early next week. The Padres come in on Friday of next week, and then the Cubs hit the road to play the Pirates and the Reds. So it is a little bit bizarre.
Yeah. But anyways, we kind of derailed you there, Andy. What were you going to... You had some comments on this.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say that the game wasn't... There were a few bright spots in the game. One thing I liked is, first of all, Anthony Rizzo had a good game. He came up to bat, I think, a couple times with 2 outs, though, but he had 2 hits, and he laid down a bunt to beat the shift, which I thought was awesome.
Cool.
I'd love to see him do that way more and just make teams adjust to it.
It was essentially an intentional walk. I mean, he just had to drop it within a huge area over at third, and he had the base.
Yeah, he laid down a perfect bunt, and he was on, but unfortunately it was with 2 outs. I also wanted to note that Anthony Rizzo leads the league in being hit by a pitch with 3 already.
And his right butt cheek is really taking a beating.
Yeah, I mean, I think did he get hit 2 times in this game?
Yes.
Yeah, I think he did. And
one of them, though, he kind of turned into, which that happens, but...
Well, that first one, the elbow, like he couldn't get out of the way.
Yeah.
But do you guys think that... Okay, he already has 3 times he's been hit by a pitch. Do you think he's going to be forced to back off the plate, back off his stance a little bit at some point?
No. I mean, I don't think he minds getting hit by a pitch.
It seems like he minds every time.
Well, I think that's
like super pissed like every time.
Well, you know what though? I mean, if he cared about getting hit, I think he would back off a little bit. I think he wants to get on base, and I don't think Anthony. It's so hilarious because you hear him interviewed, and he just seems like so soft spoken and such a nice guy. But I think he's a big guy. I think he likes kind of being the guy that could be the intimidator on the team.
I mean, but just for his like health and safety, do you think they should back him off the play? I don't know. I'm just concerned with him.
Start wearing one of those elbow armor things.
Yeah. I don't want to see him back off the plate because I think that's part of the reason that he was so effective last year.
I agree.
And I think if you back him off, I mean, he obviously found something that works for him, and pitchers don't get that outside corner of the plate on him.
It's so intimidating how much plate coverage he has when he comes up to bat. I can't imagine being an opposing pitcher against him.
The other thing that I think the pitchers are trying to do is jam him inside. He's also proven that even if you get in on his hands, he can pull him back and get around on that.
Right, he can turn on
put
it
in play. So yeah, he's definitely got the ideal approach for being on top of the plate. So I agree. I don't want to see him move off.
I still think you're going to see pitchers try to bury a lot of balls low and inside on him and try to get him to swing over him. I think that's going to be a common approach we see. But, man, if he already has been hit 3 times and that this is a trend, it scares me to think what number he could have in that column at the end of the year.
Right, and hope that it stays from the chest down.
Yeah, and just hope that he just stays healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hey, Andy.
Yeah.
Can you turn down a little bit?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Can you talk just for a second?
Yeah. Hey, it's me. What's up?
Can you talk now, Kurt?
Yes, I can talk now. Hello.
Andy, if you could go down just a little bit more. You guys were like kind of... Andy was really loud and Kurt was kind of soft, and I can't really balance you guys out from this end.
All right, I'm down a little bit more.
What are you turning down? Just your volume? What do you mean? Oh, you have a mixer.
Yeah.
Okay, that's better. Okay, cool. All right. Anything else?
I did want to mention one other sort of note about this particular game, not batting related, but Wood didn't pitch well, but I think pitched well enough in my mind. He kept them in it in a game in Colorado. He only gave up 3 runs. He did give up quite a few hits, but kind of, scattered them. Did walk a lot and struck out a few guys. So it's like, I guess it was a little bit encouraging at least to see he didn't go real deep into the game, but he pitched okay, and like for him, having landed that fifth spot, I'm just kind of looking for him to keep them in a game, and to me, 3 runs in Colorado is well enough with this offense. So I thought that was somewhat encouraging.
How many innings did he go?
I think just over
4.2.
4.
Yeah.
4.2.
I mean,
I don't know.
like I said, he didn't pitch well. I don't think he had his best stuff, but I think
Right.
his job there is like, don't blow the game, I think.
Yeah,
As a
that's
pitch starter.
true.
Don't put them so far behind that they can't get
That's a
out
good
of it
point.
offensively.
I mean, he did give up. I mean, what on pace for 8 or 9 runs in the game, but at the same time, you're right that he kept the Cubs within striking distance. It wasn't
And for the number 5 man in the rotation, I mean
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
that's good.
Edwin Jackson, how about him, guys?
Well, he looks solid and just trying to keep the game even within reach at all.
After the Schlitter bomb.
He pitched 2 scoreless innings, so that was I don't know, that was good.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think what it boils down to, what that game boiled down to, and what the season thus far is, I mean, just what we've seen over the last couple years. They cannot hit the ball. They cannot get runners in. So on the season, I think this season they're 2 for 25 with runners in scoring position.
Oh man.
And so I mean, they have the ability to get on base. They're just not getting anybody in.
Yeah,
Just a
Castro
reminder,
and Holt both had
just a-
4 apiece left on base.
Just a reminder, we're bringing back the scary stat now.
Oh, shoot. Did I step all over you, Kurt?
It's all right though, because there really aren't that many, and that one's pretty bad. That was pretty much. I had a few other details that I'll just go ahead and throw in there now. But
Yeah, go ahead.
They've struck out eight times, 8 strikeouts in those 25 chances. Only Starlin Castro has recorded a hit in the 25 opportunities. He's had 5 of them and has had 2 hits. So one bright spot is Castro. He's had 2 hits in 5 chances with 1 RBI. Everybody else is batting 0 with runners in scoring position.
That's brutal.
Yeah, but I mean, let's hope that that's an early. I mean, I think logic tells you, okay, that's small sample size right there. But then on the other hand, it's like, well, but this is what we've seen for a long time. However, I think one difference, I mean, just to take away, I mean, that first series, there wasn't, you're facing the top 2 pitchers in a team's rotation. You're facing Wainwright. You're just not going to get a lot of guys on base against Wainwright if he's on. So, I mean, the Cubs struggled in that. But since then, I mean, we're seeing the Cubs get on base, which at times over the last couple of years, we haven't even been able to do that. So it's just a progress.
Fowler and
It's just
Slater, getting extra base hits has been nice.
Yeah. How about Soler's arm? Man.
Oh yeah, that was
I-
cool.
That's amazing.
I hope teams don't figure out that they can't run on him. Just keep running on him, please.
I don't think it's gonna
My
take long. Just that play yesterday from right center. I think people will see that. Anybody who's got a scouting department that watches that, it's gonna be like, okay, don't push it on anything to right.
Although
field.
people still try it on Puig.
Yeah, I guess. I don't. And yeah,
Of course-
the game situation changes things too. But
Yeah, I don't know. I love watching outfield assists or putouts like that. I mean, it's so fun to watch.
it's kind of fun to see
any
his
close
reaction
play.
too.
What'd you
'Cause
say, Andy?
it creates a close play,
Right.
and those are always entertaining. So, like you said, I hope people do continue, for my entertainment's sake.
Mm-hmm.
I hope people continue to try to run on the arm of Soler.
And I
Yeah.
like seeing his reaction too, because after he throws him out, he just kind of smiles. He tucks his chain back in. You guys talked about tucks his chain in and just kind of smiles and puts his head down, which is awesome.
Goes all Bobby Howry up on that chain.
All right. Well, so we're only 3 games into the 2015 season. We're seeing Joe Madden make some moves that Cubs fans aren't used to seeing with our team. One of those is that in each game, Madden has had the pitcher bat 8th in the lineup.
Yeah, and I remember not really ever thinking too much about. I remember Tony La Russa doing it and not thinking too much about it, but now it looks like something we're going to have to get used to seeing on a regular basis. If you look into it, like, according to multiple sources, I talked to a couple sources. One of them rhymes with Ram Rango. I don't know if you've heard of that guy. No, I'm just kidding. I found an interview with him.
I like that you're giving a pseudonym to a pseudonym.
Yeah. But anyway, batting the pitcher eighth typically gives a team about a 2-run gain over the course of a season. So the statistics show that it's kind of has a negligible effect. In theory, it sets the table for the top of the order better. So so the leadoff hitter won't come to bat as much with the bases empty. So that's the goal. So we've seen La Stella for the most part in the 9-hole, and in theory, then he would get on base for Dexter Fowler then to have more opportunities. And so that has this talk about small sample size. I mean, this might not even be worth talking or getting into detail about with the Cubs yet, but we've only had 5 instances of the pitcher batting. For the most part, this isn't going to happen that much anyway, because the pitcher will be pinch hit for, into at some point in the game.
And then you get into double switches and everything like that.
Right. But 2 times this has led to the number 9 hitter leading off the next inning so far. So the pitcher's gotten the last out, and La Stella has then led off the next inning. In one instance, Lester came up to bat with a man on second, and so he came up with a man in scoring position, and he struck out. So that did lead to La Stella leading off the next inning, but La Stella led off the next inning with a single. So what if he would have hit that? What if he would have been in the 8-hole and hit that single?
Well, they probably would have pitched around him.
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, especially given that Lester, I don't think has a major league hit. I think
you don't
they
think
probably
he was going to protect La Stella in the lineup?
I don't think.
Come on. But I like the idea of batting the pitcher ninth when you have some pitchers that can swing the bat, like Travis Wood.
Right, which he didn't do yesterday. He was
Right.
still 8th.
He came up with men on first and second yesterday, and he hit a fly ball for out number 2. But it'll be interesting to see if Madden continues to do that. But like I said, over the course of an entire season, it's not going to have that much of effect.
No.
And one thing that just kind of occurred to me too is I wonder if, given the type of leadoff hitter that Fowler is, he's not like a pure speed leadoff hitter. He's an on-base leadoff hitter. That might have something to do with it, like you were talking about, Andy. More guys on base in front of him. Whereas, like if you're the Reds and you've got Billy Hamilton, you want him on base, open base paths, and just let him go.
Right.
Versus Fowler, he can move a guy over.
Yeah.
Versus, so I think the type of leadoff hitter he is might have something to do with it too.
Well, and you also talk about what it does for the leadoff hitter, and it really works too when you bat a power hitter in the 2-hole. So Soler is batted second in the order in all 3 games, and whether it's Soler, we also saw Rizzo in that spot some during spring training. If you move the pitcher to the 8th spot, then you have 2 batters in front of that power hitter, and by sliding the power hitter up in the lineup, then you're getting more at bats over the course of the season too.
Right,
So.
I do like having Rizzo not batting cleanup. I like him higher in the order than that. So, like you said, like if we get some situations where La Stella and Fowler can both get on base, and then now the pitcher has to deal with Soler and Rizzo in that type of a pressure situation, we could have some huge innings.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I like it. And I think while some people have really high expectations for this team, we've talked about what we realistically think this team is. So I think this is a great season to try this stuff out. I think that realistically, the Cubs, I think they are what we've talked about them being. I think they're 500, slightly over 500, could make a wild card push perhaps, but I think this is a good season to try stuff out. And really, I mean, we know you can look at what that strategy has done historically in baseball, but this is a great opportunity to see. Okay, so what does it do with this lineup? How does it work with these particular players? So, While we're on the topic of pitchers batting eighth, at Nick Walter on Twitter tweeted at us and said, "Why is Wood hitting eighth and not cleanup?" Well, I mean, you really could. I mean, if you had a pitcher that, Travis Wood has just shown some power from time to time. I don't have his average in front of me, so I'm not real sure about that. But it was like career average or over the last couple of years, his batting average. But if you had a pitcher that could really hit legitimately, like Wood or maybe Zambrano, I don't know. I mean, what about moving him up to like the 7 spot or something? Moving him up even a little bit further.
Travis Wood has a career 191 batting average.
Okay, so leave him in eighth spot.
But he's hit 9 home runs in his career, and including 3 home runs for the Cubs in 2014.
Yeah.
And 3 for the Cubs in 2013.
Well, I guess that just kind of speaks to the fact that, yes, there are pitchers that are known as being decent hitters, but when compared to real hitters, they're probably still not worth moving them further up in the lineup. I guess that's what we just learned.
Well, it is worth mentioning that his past 2 seasons, he's hit over 200. He had 222 in 2013, 232 in 2014. So
that's pretty good. I mean,
yeah. I feel like every time he's come to bat, though, he's always swinging for the fences. I don't feel like I don't feel like I've ever seen him shorten up his swing.
Well, and I mean, that's kind of what I think pitchers that can hit, I think that's what they do. Look at Zambrano. He was always kind of swinging for the fences. It kind of felt like Samardzija was always swinging for the fences, and
Kerry Wood would pop one once in a while.
Yeah. But, I mean, Zambrano was like trying to just kill the ball when he got up there. So, yeah, you might be right that they just see it as their opportunity to hit one of those rare pitcher home runs.
He's tasted it before, and then he comes up with 2 men on in that Colorado game, and I don't blame him. He wants to drive those guys in with one swing of the bat.
Right. Well, let's move on to listener questions. I typically ask for these questions, a day or two, usually the day of the recording. I asked for them yesterday, and so but you can send them to us at any time, and I'll put them in the list. We are at IVMV on Twitter, and IVMV.com/Facebook will take you to our Facebook page. And then also we're on Instagram at IVMV Podcast, which I don't post a lot on I do a lot like in short bursts, it seems. Like at Arizona, I posted a lot, and I'm not sure I've posted anything on our Instagram since then, but what are you going to post on Instagram when you're nowhere near anything?
There's a selfie of me watching the game.
Right, exactly. It's like when we go somewhere, I guess I could have posted some pictures from our opening night meetup at Duffy's. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'll do that here in the next couple of days when I'm sitting in sessions at conferences. I'll update our Instagram feed. Okay, so this first one comes from Dawn, and she says, "What do you see the Cubs doing with Castillo if they can't find a trade partner? I love Wellington, but Montero is clearly fantastic and should be getting most of the starts. It seems a real shame to have someone like Castillo sit on anyone's bench."
I see it's unlikely that they won't find a trade partner at some point.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of what I think too. Is that they'll find someplace for him. It seems like he could play first base if some team wanted to try that out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, given he's such a, but he does have such a cannon of an arm. He has some strengths behind the plate, but the receiving is not good.
But anyway, he does have he has potential to be a pretty good hitter, and so that's got to be attractive to some teams out there. I don't think
it seems like
trouble.
It seems like some teams. Excuse me, jeez. I don't know where that came from. It seems like a few teams should be desperate right now. Aren't the Diamondbacks kind of having an issue with catchers that they don't really have anyone worth starting, and don't they have Gerald Laird? I don't know. I guess it appears the Cubs are content with keeping things the way they are for now and just wait for that team to get desperate. But when the Cubs signed Montero and Ross, it seemed really unlikely they would carry 3 catchers into the season. But here we are, 3 catchers.
Yeah, I think this is totally a playing the market thing.
Yeah, I think it's probably gone a little
talk
longer
it
than
up,
they want.
Like, right? It's okay to have 3 catchers because the pinch hitting and all that. But like the reality is, this is not ideal. Even though they tell you that it's okay. So as soon as
It's
somebody
okay in
gets
the very
hurt-
short term, I guess.
on another team, I should mention, somebody gets hurt on another team catcher, then they'll probably try to make that move.
Right. Yeah. Well, and even if somebody like David Ross got hurt, it still doesn't make a lot of sense for Castillo to be there.
Because Rafael Lopez is legitimate. He could come up and
Right.
play.
Yeah. Corey from Oregon, he says, my question is, what players should I look forward to seeing in Eugene at the Cubs' new Class A short season affiliate? Yes, I know it's short season Class A, but I'm admittedly desperate. I was wondering about whether some of the international prospects might play there.
There's no doubt. I mean, it's hard to predict because Eugene doesn't start until June. So there are some guys that are still in Arizona that were not assigned, and so I would imagine you would see some of those guys.
I think probably the most exciting player will be the number 9 draft pick in the 2015 draft, whoever that ends up being.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Well, and I think, Eloy Jimenez, I would assume he would start there.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised that he wasn't on the South Bend roster. But I
There
mean,
are
given that Gleyber Torres was, and they're the same age from the same draft class and everything, or signing class.
There's a couple, and there's also a couple pitchers selected in some of the mid rounds. Like Carson Sands, for example, is still in Arizona. Let's see, Justin Steele. So there's some pitchers like that might end up being with Eugene.
Right. Yeah, I think so. And then I think we'll probably see those players moved up to South Bend towards the end of the season.
Sure.
So yeah, I think Eugene will be a really interesting team to watch this year, and with Corey living there, that's kind of a nice move from Boise to Eugene.
Heck yeah, if
for him.
I lived close, I would love to go to those games.
Yeah. Stewart, he asks, who will lead the team in home runs this year? I would guess Soler, just to be different. And I think we talked about that on our prediction episode, but I'm not real sure. Maybe I think we did.
We did.
Well,
But I think 2 of us choose. Oh my gosh, man! Been talking to my 4-year-old too much. 2 of us chose Rizzo on that episode, I believe. Didn't one of us?
I did. Yeah. I actually have my notes from that episode sitting here, so I know I did.
I picked Rizzo also.
And I
Oh.
picked him pretty high at 35, so I was strong on Rizzo.
I thought,
So would we be shocked though if Soler led the team in home runs?
no, I wouldn't be shocked.
I kind of
mean,
would, because it's like his numbers have never been huge. I mean, he hits it a ton, but he hasn't quite hit as many as some of these other guys.
Just watching him swing the bat so far this season, though, makes me think that when he connects, really, he gets the wood on a ball in the sweet spot. It's going to be long gone.
I think he's the kind of player that could really hit, like, he could have a real hot streak, too. Like, he seems like the type of player that if he gets, kind of like Soriano did, he would just get in, he would get locked in and just go on a tear. And I could kind of see Soler doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I do, and I think, and Soler hits a lot of line drive, like extra base hits, too, I think, so.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he hits the ball hard. He just doesn't quite hit it. Does hit it 5 feet once in a while.
I think it'll be Rizzo, too. I don't remember what I picked on that prediction episode,
I
but
don't think you did pick Rizzo,
No?
so you're
Huh.
changing already.
well, I'm
Maybe
going
Rizzo.
He's a
Rizzo.
waffler. He's a waffler.
I think I picked Rizzo. I think you guys are crazy.
Well, that's true, but I still don't know who you picked.
Well, Kurt, we got an email recently. This just came in. Just came in.
It was just handed
hot.
to you.
Off the
off
server.
the press. Oh, wait a minute. It's got an August date on it.
Yeah.
We did get this email months ago, and somehow I don't know what we did. Somehow we answered questions that he asked, but we didn't really talk. I don't know what we did. So to correct our error, Kurt, would you kind of read this email we got from a listener named Tom?
Yes, I will. I'm just going to read Tom's message to you. I'm not super articulate, but I'll try to recount this story without bumbling too much. My Cubs fandom started out almost as a joke. My close friend and I were roommates for about a year. He was a huge Cubs fan. His family is from Chicago, and his grandfather would take him to games when they visited. Essentially, he joined the Peace Corps and now is likely the only Cubs fan in Ethiopia. I wanted to jokingly take his place
Kurt.
because I felt... Yes?
Can you start over? I'm sorry.
What happened?
It got
Do I need
really
to do something different?
it got really choppy on this end.
Okay. That's fine. Do you want... Just go ahead and start, or do you want to introduce it again?
Just go ahead and start it.
All right. So he says, I'm not super articulate, but I'll try to recount this story without bumbling too much. My Cubs fandom started almost as a joke. My close friend and I were roommates for about a year. He was a huge Cubs fan. His family's from Chicago, and his grandfather would take him to games when they visited. Essentially, he joined the Peace Corps and is now likely the only Cubs fan in Ethiopia. I wanted to jokingly take his place because I felt like the Cubs fan base in New York couldn't handle losing a fan like him. So I took the reins and started tuning into Cubs games, and for the first time paying
Hey
attention
Kurt,
to MLB.
you're not gonna believe this,
geez.
but like I can't hear. I don't know what's going on. Let's wait a couple seconds before you start it again.
I can hear.
Is it
I
just
can
like
hear
not
just
catching
fine.
up?
I don't know. So he's fine for you, Andy?
Yeah.
It'll be like a few sentences will be okay, and then I'll literally miss an entire sentence except for like one word.
That's happened earlier. It happened when you guys say something, I'll miss a word or two. But
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's try it now. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna have it memorized, at least the first part. I'm gonna leave out that super articulate thing.
Okay.
I'm just going to start. All right. My Cubs fandom started out almost as a joke. My close friend and I were just roommates for about a year. He was a huge Cubs fan. His family's from Chicago, and his grandfather would take him to games when they visited. Essentially, he joined the Peace Corps and is now likely the only Cubs fan in Ethiopia. I wanted to jokingly take his place because I felt like the Cubs fan base in New York couldn't handle losing a fan like him. So I took the reins and started tuning into Cubs games for the first time paying attention to the MLB. I quickly fell in love as I increased my baseball IQ and as I learned more about the Cubs, specifically their hilarious and pathetic history. I fell in love with Wrigley and black cats and goats and drunken fans. You get the idea. All through the first half of 2014 season, my friend educated me not only on pro baseball, but also how to watch the Cubs. For example, paying attention to Rizzo and Castro and ignore Sweeney completely. He's not part of the future, and things of that nature. So my Cubs fandom started out as a joke and a tribute to my friend's courage for going to Ethiopia and leaving all this behind. It has evolved into a legitimate obsession with the future of this team. I like to compare it to the scene in Star Wars where Obi-Wan Kenobi dies fighting Darth Vader and passes more force power on to Luke. I'm kind of like Luke. My friend is kind of like Obi-Wan. And being a Cubs fan is kind of like the Force. Okay, I'm just going to pause there. Corey, that's, like he said, that's Star Wars. That's that movie about space. All right, so to continue.
So that's a
Well,
movie that
now
was based on Spaceballs.
Yeah, right. It's
Well, now
it's
the
the
movie's
spoof
been
of
spoiled.
Spaceballs.
This listener spoiled the movie for two
I
guys. who have
forgot to
never
say
seen it.
spoiler alert before I read that part. All right, so continuing. Now I'm straight up obsessed with baseball. As a salesman by day, numbers, and an aspiring video game developer by night, games. Baseball was just sitting there waiting for me to find it. I love it now. I understand the depth of hitting, pitching, and the basics of sabermetrics especially. I was just sitting behind the right field fence at Citi Field this past Friday, field level seats. It was my first MLB game since I was 12 years old. It wasn't the most exciting game, honestly, but I still enjoyed myself. I was with my pregnant wife and Mets-obsessed mother-in-law as well. Not to knock them, but I think I'd rather be drinking with my best buds next time. I was thrown off by people screaming about hot dogs and beer during pivotal moments of the game, and spoiled rotten by seeing the strike zone in HD from my couch. I had a good time, but I need to go back soon with a different expectation and some friends. I would also have preferred to be at Wrigley, surrounded by Cubs fans, obviously, but Chicago isn't close enough. When my buddy comes back to visit in the U.S. in 2 years, we're planning to visit Chicago almost purely to see a few games at Wrigley. It'll be super cool because by then my son might be old enough and think it's cool too. I might get antsy, take a trip to Chicago myself sooner. I want to see Wrigley, especially after reading A Little Place on the North Side by George F. Will. That book is nuts. I'm assuming you already know a bunch of Cubs history, but that book blew my mind. At some point, he claims one of the Wrigley family wanted to plant trees in the outfield of something ridiculously stupid. It's a book full of anecdotal stuff like that and completely dispelled the bad luck of the Cubs and illustrates just how awful the management was for almost 100 years. Geez, I just typed all that on my phone.
That's a crazy email to type on your phone, by the way.
I know it is. So yeah, thanks for sharing. That's pretty cool.
It's an interesting path to Cubs fandom.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
I mean, you hear it, for a lot of Cubs fans, it's like, oh, well, my dad or my mom or my grandpa or something. You know, that's how I became a Cubs fan. Or WGN is the reason I became a Cubs fan. Rarely is it, well, there's this Ethiopian guy.
Well, he's not Ethiopian. He's from
roommate
Chicago.
went to Ethiopia.
He went to Ethiopia.
Oh, right.
But yeah, I can somewhat relate because I became a Cubs fan a little bit through absorption. I was, my family's not a baseball family. We were basketball people, and then I went to college and I just fell in love with it by seeing a lot of other people, be in love with the Cubs. So somewhat related.
Yeah.
Only my roommate didn't go to Ethiopia. I think he went back to the suburbs.
So he sends in a question here, and this question is: would you be comfortable? What would you be comfortable getting from each middle infielder in a trade? Baez, Russell, and Castro. Which would you most like to trade if you had to? Do you get mad at Starlin? And he said, I'm sure we've discussed this before, but maybe your opinion has changed. So I guess let's kind of start. Well, I mean, if you have an answer for these three questions, I guess.
Well, Castro has been mentioned in trade rumors with as the Padres wanting him, apparently, and the Padres have 3 shortstops in their top 8 prospects. So I would say they got to get some more shortstops out of any trade. No, but I mean, I would think there's a difference between a bat like Castro, who has established himself as a major league hitter. I think the return on him, if they were to move him, would be greater, especially than Baez, and then Russell as well.
Yeah, I don't want to trade any of them. I guess my top choice would be Baez, but I don't think the return on him is going to be great, especially right now. And then as far as Castro goes, I don't get mad at Starlin. I mean, I still see him. I see he's 25 years old. He's a 3-time All-Star, a natural hitter, makes good contact, has good power for a shortstop. He's getting better in the field, and I like Castro a lot. I would hate to see him leave. And what I think has been missing with Castro, I think it's been easy to kind of target him because of some of the mistakes he makes. But I think that every player makes mistakes. Like Baez or Soler, I think it was in the second game of the Cardinals series, kind of bobbled a ball that was hit to him. If that was Castro, I think people would be freaking out, like, oh, there's Castro. Any mistake that's made with Castro is just magnified because of the reputation he has. And I think what is lacked in the last couple of years is that we have not seen Castro on a good team. We have not been able to see that yet. And I really want to see that because I think I like him a lot.
Yeah, I would agree. I think he seems to be the most likely to be traded in my mind. But I agree with you. Like, people discount way too much established major league talent. I mean, Castro's been here since 2010,
Right.
and people are so quick to write him off. I mean, here's a 25-year-old with, he's in his 6th season. That's really unheard of, and he hits the ball. I mean,
Right.
he's approaching.
He makes so much.
after this year, he's going to have over 1,000 hits.
Right.
Probably.
Right.
And people are just like, well, they find all these different reasons why, he doesn't fit, but he's a really good Major League Baseball player. And so it would be tough to see something established traded for something that's potential. But I would not want to see them move Addison Russell.
Well,
either.
I just think there's room. I think there's no reason to do. I mean, right now, why would you bank on Baez for anything? And honestly, why would you bank? I don't think you should bank on anything in the minor leagues right now. And so I'd see no reason to get rid of Castro. I think if Baez just doesn't work out and he can't seem to figure out major league pitching, then you've got Castro to shift over to second base. I mean, I don't see, and I think fans are just way too keyed in on every mistake that he makes, and I just don't think it's good. I don't think it's good for a young player. I think we don't. A lot of Cubs fans don't see him as a young player just because he's been there since 2010. But he is still a young player, and I hope he's Imagine if you're 25 years old, you're a 3-time All-Star, you have the skills that he has, you have the accomplishments that he has made, and then like fans are on you because for every little mistake you make. I don't think it's good.
I don't mind him.
And I think he'll
batting-
benefit from this culture too, like this Respect 90 culture.
Right.
I don't mind him
Sorry.
batting in the cleanup spot either, but it'll be nice to see him batting with somebody other than Coughlin behind him. Also, when you're talking about him being on a good team, I'm not saying Coughlin's bad, but
Right.
I don't think he's great in the 5-hole necessarily,
Yeah.
and doesn't protect Castro as well as he could be protected in the order.
Yeah. Jason from Rock Island, he says, I've been watching a few other teams play and have noticed one thing. With the rule changes to help speed up games, things are the same. Will anything ever work to increase the pace of game? I read an article yesterday that reported that the length of games is down almost 10 minutes. On opening day, I believe only 2 games went past 3 hours. And that's just it. I think if you shave a few seconds off of each pitch, it's not going to be noticeable. Like Jason or anybody watching, you probably haven't noticed. But I think it all adds up by the end of the game. And then I also think that the shorter commercial breaks are probably helping too.
They actually were. There's been an effort to make commercial breaks shorter. I hadn't heard about that.
Well, there's that clock.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
In between innings. So I think
Right.
they took 30 seconds off of. I believe they took 30 seconds off in between inning or half innings.
Right.
So.
Okay.
Tim says, I heard that the Cubs I've heard talk that the Cubs should use video of Harry Carey on the board for the 7th inning stretch and get rid of the guest singer. I would like to see it. How about you guys?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree
Absolutely.
too.
Yeah.
The guest singer, like, because for every amazing guest singer you have like 10 horrible ones, and they're just so embarrassing and terrible. And for the people that don't really want to be there, they're just there because they have a new movie coming out. Like
Right.
that's irritating.
Yeah, I
Plus,
think
like, even if they're a good singer, sometimes their tempo is off. There's like multiple factors that can turn it into a terrible.
we've heard that already this year.
Right.
Yeah, at Peoria, the Chiefs, they do Harry Carey on the board, and I think even now that they're a Cardinals affiliate, I think they still use like a video of Harry Carey on the board. My preference would be just let the crowd sing. I don't think there's any reason for anybody to be leading it. We know the song, like the crowd is usually singing the song pace-wise better than the guest singer. So I think just play it on the organ and let fans sing it. I don't think, or have someone, Pat Hughes or Lynn Casper, just somebody that leads it every day. That's my preference.
But with that new video board, they're gonna use the hell out of it. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but I wouldn't mind that either. Just
Yeah.
the organ.
Danny Rocket says, "Do you think the rainout will be the deciding game in the NL Central?"
Let's hope so. And then
Yeah,
it's Cubs
yeah,
favor.
that's what I was thinking. I'd be all for that.
I sure hope so.
Jason from New Mexico says, "If the Padres are interested in Castro, what do they have that the Cubs might want? I just don't see them matching up. But could they be interested in someone like Alcantara?"
Oh, I kind of gave my answer to
That's
that
okay.
question a little bit earlier.
Well, I don't think they. I'm not sure they could match up, which means, I suppose, like a multi-team trade is possible.
Right,
And-
but they don't have a lot of highly touted pitching prospects, which is one thing.
No, they do have kind of a plethora of outfielders, but and as far as Alcantara goes, I'm not sure he would be enough for them. I don't. If they want Castro or they want kind of an elite shortstop, I'm not sure Alcantara is the
don't
way
see
to
him.
go.
Yeah, I don't see them matching up.
Or what if you what if you like a mid rotation guy, some sort of package deal with some actual current starting pitching?
Cashner.
Yeah, Cashner let's get Cashner back.
I don't know.
I don't know how the values stack up with Castro and Cashner, but
Yeah, I don't. I just don't want to see Castro leave. So I just
don't
don't.
either.
I don't think they're going to be able to put it together. And I said, now, you throw another team or two in there, and you might be able to come up with a package that would be interesting. But the way it stands now, I don't see it. And I think those rumors have kind of cooled in the last day or two as well. I think I'd read somebody said that they really haven't the two teams haven't discussed this idea recently. So, and the last one here is from Josh, who is at CJW, like DOBBYA. I wasn't saying W like that. CJW on Twitter. He says, "Theo brushing back Clark, great thing or the greatest thing?" So if you weren't paying
that's
attention,
pretty awesome.
yeah, Thursday South Bend game, the home opener, Theo threw out the first pitch to Clark, who was batting. And I guess to Clark isn't. I guess it's more like at Clark. That's more accurate. I thought it was pretty good, and I think yesterday I saw that Theo admitted that he did it on purpose.
So, but why didn't
Yeah, it looked like
Clark
he-
charge the mound?
That would have been awesome. See, I'm so glad we have a mascot. We could do this kind of stuff.
And Theo rips his
If
head
he
off.
would, they would have like reenacted the Ventura Nolan Ryan.
Epstein just instantly catches his head under his arm in the headlock and starts beating on him.
I like it.
But
All right. Well, we are going to read a few reviews. We appreciate these reviews because they help our visibility in the different podcast directories, iTunes, Stitcher, and others. And we play Chuck Mangione over them because, like Chuck and his song, these reviews make us feel so good. So I should mention, if you search for IVMV in iTunes, there are 2 IVMVs that show up. And the one that is ranked higher on the left, that's the real one. The one on the right is the one that has reviews from our wives podcast, Mohammy's Cocktail Hour. And for some reason, I've tried desperately to get iTunes to remove this extra. I mean, it's got all of our episodes in it. It's just not the right reviews. And they claim it's not there, but if you search, you'll see it. So we actually do. I looked in there. We have a few reviews in that feed over there, and so I'm going to read them real quick. So don't leave reviews there, but these 2 people have, and these are from like quite a while ago. One of them is from Cube Faint, and it says, I like this one. "So I've been listening to this podcast since December 2012. Haven't missed an episode. It's okay."
It's
I like it a
he's
lot.
saying it's okay. He's just like encouraging himself, like that he's listened to all episodes. It's okay, man. Don't worry about
Or I think he's just saying, I listen to every episode, and it's okay. And this next one is from Bagel202002. And this one is also a 5-star review, and it says, "Pray tell me a better podcast, folks."
it. dropped a next on the end.
Oh man. So we have some real, or not real. We do appreciate those, even though you left them in the wrong spot. I can't blame you. I blame iTunes. So thanks to Cube Faint and Bagel 202002. So this next one is on the real feed, and this is from Big Dog 2846. Says, I'm a baseball fan and a podcaster myself. This is a great podcast. Corey and these guys are awesome. I love listening to another baseball fan's perspective. So
Corey and these guys.
I wondered if you're going to catch that.
Yep.
That's how I'm going to start bringing us in. I'm your host, Corey, and there's these guys. And then this next one is from Yellowhammer 2, and it says, if you're a Cubs fan, you absolutely must give this podcast a listen. Always informative, it provides fans with the most current Cubs news, including important developments within the minor league clubs as well. From the casual Cubs fan to the diehards, this podcast has something to offer everyone. The hosts are intelligent guys that are more baseball savvy than what they would like to give themselves credit for being. They won't, however, bore the average fan with over analytics or things like sabermetrics.
No, we won't.
Their open-minded analysis is more inviting than most shows, and they won't frustrate you with their over-opinionated rants and podcast quote-unquote muscle flexing. Probably the most appealing aspect of this podcast is that these guys are friends, and that has a way of translating to a very enjoyable and often humorous listening experience. You'll get the feeling that you're sitting at the bar talking Cubs with your buddies over a few cold beverages. I love that the episodes air consistently, even during the off season. It gives me my Cubs fix all year long. Bottom line, if you like the Cubs, if you like insightful baseball discussion, and if you like to laugh, you will love the IVMV podcast. That was a very thorough review. Thank you very much.
That one hit on all the key points.
That was nice.
Everything we try to do, and we're
Right.
never sure if we accomplished. So thanks to Yellowhammer and Big Dog 2846 for those. So normally here, now that the season has started, this is where we would do Kurt's scary stat of the week. However, we've already done it. So we'll move on to the Internet Muscle Flex, and Kurt, I don't know where to start with this. You mentioned, Kurt, you kind of discovered in last week the beauty of Internet Muscle Flexes on Cubs Instagram.
Yeah, I've definitely shifted my focus away from Cubs.com over to Cubs Instagram, which is amazing. And I should point out too, it's less like flexing at other commenters and more like just, wow, that person really likes that.
Someone said that.
Yeah. But they're amazing. And then the nice thing about that is that, they're easier to scroll through, and Cubs.com was getting a little bit cumbersome. So that's where I got mine.
Okay. Well, I have two. How many do you have, Andy?
2.
Okay. I'm going to go first. This one, it's real short and sweet. I love it. And I can't even... it's on the article. And this is not so much a muscle flex. Just literally, I saw it while I was sitting at work, and I literally laughed out loud, like to the point of people wondering what in the world I was doing. I kind of shrieked, actually. It made me laugh so hard. So it's on the article, Brockmeyer bringing big league lessons back to the minors. And the comment this is from someone named Commenter, so they haven't even taken the time to register, I guess. And the comment reads, "I read this article."
All right.
Did somebody upvote it?
I don't know. I laughed so hard when I read that. I'm just going to start doing that every blog post I ever read. I'm just going to comment, "I read this article."
Which this is kind of related. This isn't my flex, but I've noticed on Cubs Instagram, people want to be the first to like it, so they'll it and they'll put in first to like, and then people after will be like 75th to like, 145th to like.
Or the first 5 are all people saying first.
Yeah.
People thinking that they're yeah.
So awesome.
That's awesome. Good job. So go ahead, whoever wants to.
All right, I'll jump in with my first one, and this is someone playing GM. We need to trade Castro for a 2B, which I don't know if he means like an actual base or a player. But we need to trade Castro for a second base because Russell is the best shortstop on the team, and we have no good second base other than Baez, which is spelled B-I-E-Z, who strikes out way too many times. So find a solid veteran to teach Baez, B-I-E-Z, and then win the World Series in 2017.
Jeez. Baez.
Baez.
Okay, here's one of mine from Cubs Facebook. It is a guy who says, "Dear Ricketts family," it's like an open letter. "Dear Ricketts family, you have failed. You bit off more than you can chew. You thought because you folks are billionaires that you could do no wrong. You were incorrect. You have failed. Oh, and that sign is as ugly as your soul." I think you're referring to the outfield video board, and ugly is all caps. I like the last line. That was what made this one capture my attention, is that the sign is as ugly as their collective souls.
It is interesting to know that the Cubs are now worth like $1.8 billion according to Forbes. So
Right.
I think
yeah.
that the Ricketts have doubled their value or something like that.
Yeah.
Even though
okay.
they still suck.
Right. Okay, I'll have one more here. This one is from Cubs.com, and it's from one of those articles on multiple sites. It involves multiple teams, so they post it on each team's site. So this was about the Cubs' 2-0 win over the Cardinals on Wednesday, and this is an interaction between a Cubs fan and a Cardinals fan. So there's some commenting, and then a Cardinals fan posts something, and a Cubs fan says, "You Cards fans are still here? Go play the Reds already, LOL." Cardinals fan comes back with, "Well, you're here, checking up. Why don't you go watch windows on the former Sears Tower? Start at the 90th floor and work up, LOL." Then Cubs fan comes back with, "I don't even live in Chicago. Try again." Then Cardinals fan says, "Hell, I live in the Midwest and I could simply go to Chicago and follow orders. The point doesn't matter where you live. Just do it."
Holy crap.
Start at the 90th floor, though.
Oh, there's so much in there that I could overanalyze this thing and break it down. There's so many things I found hilarious in there, but I'll just leave it. I'll just let you interpret it however you want.
That was good. Well, my next one is really short and sweet, but it's also from Instagram, and whenever a game starts, the Cubs Instagram, they post a photo, like #Let'sGo, and this person says, "What's the score? My TV's broken." And if you thought they were trying to be ironic, like, "Oh, haha, I'm on the internet," kind of thing, like, no, because later somebody answered this person, and he said, or she, "Oh, good, thanks." So it wasn't like, somebody just trying to be funny. It was a legitimate question.
I'm so glad that you finally went over and checked out the Instagram, Kurt.
Oh,
I felt like you had kind of resisted for a month or so.
I was trying to be a purist, and stick with Cubs.com, but it's been letting me down lately.
See, I've gone back to Cubs.com. So it's good that you moved over. We'll just alternate. Whenever we get tired of one thing, we'll move back, because you will get tired of those Instagram ones, believe me.
My TV's broken. Not if they keep coming that strong. Once you score, my TV's broken.
All right, so here's my last one, and it comes from the Twitter feed of Darnell McDonald, who is a assistant director of baseball operations assistant. I'm sorry,
Former player
for the Cubs. He didn't play a lot, but he played a little bit, and he posted a picture on his Twitter feed. And here is the caption. It says, "One of the most important commitments I made in my career. #respect90, #play the game right." And the picture is him. His torso has a Respect 90 tattoo on it now.
What?
Yeah, and it looks just like the Respect 90 look on the practice field, down the first base line, and it's going down right underneath his armpit, down towards his waist.
Damn. That dude does not want to lose his job.
Can't fire me now. But
He'll just put a DIS at the beginning if they fire him.
but this thing has a lot of comments on it, and it's amazing how many people are flaming him for this. Like, here's an example. This is okay. Here's one commenter, one Twitterer says this is only his second dumbest tattoo decision. #neck tat. So I don't know. Apparently he has a neck tat. But here's my favorite, which is clearly you are unaware that tattoo removal is not as easy as you would think it is. But one person who does like it is Fitzy. She says that's awesome. #respect 90.
All
That's not a
right.
neck tat.
Yeah. Oh gosh. I don't know. Maybe we should do that, guys. Maybe we should get Respect 90. We should get.
It's just something
How about
Madden came
how about
up with,
Respect
like,
Ivy?
I might
there
get
you go.
Respect 9 somewhere on my body.
Oh
Respect
man,
0.
I am starting the music on that one. I can't believe you went there. All right. Well, that does it for this week's episode, which was brought to you by all of our Patreon contributors. Special thanks to our Hall of Fame level contributors: Jeremy, Dave, Dallas, Charles, Steven, Stuart, Jane, Cass, Tony, Shane, Michael, John, Brian, Andrew, Richard, Craig, Rick, and Luke. Our associate producers are Matthew Macer, Anthony Hutfuls. Gosh, I always mess that up. I'm sorry. I said it wrong the first time, and now I always have to second guess myself. Joshua Hansen, Ryan Shores, and Jason Nunn. We have a new Hall of Fame member this week, Luke Wilkins from Stewartville, Minnesota. Thank you thank you to everyone that helps keep this podcast going through Patreon. The pledging levels start on Patreon at just $1 a month, and the perks get better at every level. And because of the support on Patreon, we're now doing 2 episodes of this podcast every week and 5 episodes of the Daily Northside Recap every week. So these extra, 25 episodes a month, I think? That's crazy. So those would not be happening without the Patreon support. So just think about what we could do if everyone listening gave at least $1 a month. It would be pretty awesome, and we'd do all sorts of cool stuff. So to check the campaign out, go to patreon.com/IVMV. That's patreon.com/IVMV. Speaking of the Daily Northside Recap, I hope to be able to produce episodes Monday through Friday this week while I'm in Vegas. Wi-Fi is the big question mark, so if that podcast disappears for the week, just please know that it's a Wi-Fi issue and that the podcast has not stopped after 1 week of existence. So thank you for listening to this episode. There will be an interview episode posted Thursday morning, and we will be back with a regular episode next Sunday evening. And until then, go Cubs. Oh boy.
Kurt, are you in trouble? Do you have to?
No, not entirely. She's leaving, but she hasn't left yet. But she should be fine. She hasn't popped down to say anything yet, so
Oh, okay. I was,
But I probably
worried, I was
should
worried
run.
about you.
that's okay. Yeah, she's headed back to the Quad Cities to have lunch with a friend. So
Huh.
hopefully she's not screaming out and down the stairs at me.
Hello, Quad Cities.
A little Quad Cities.
All right. Well, I'm gonna let you guys go because
so-
I'm 3 minutes late on my interview.
All right.
One quick thing, Corey. Did you see
Sure.
my note about the pint glass stuff? Just
No.
send me whatever,
Credit card.
like credit card, where you want them shipped, your address, and
Okay.
we said 72, right?
Yeah.
Or
Yep.
whatever it was around. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Just if you don't get that from me by like tomorrow midday, will you text me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I will talk to you guys later.
Later.
All right,
Bye.
see you guys.